And of course, every millennial is supposed to be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I don't know any millennial that's a Marxist like she is.
You should have just stopped at, I don't know any millennial. Because even, maybe you do know some millennials, but let me tell you something. The way they act around you is probably not how they actually think. They're probably just trying to get through whatever social situation they've unfortunately found themselves in your company in and just get through it with as little pain as possible. That probably is the goal of any millennial listening to you yammer on about trying global warming and trying to open the borders and Sean Hannity's a good man. No. No one cares about that. No one's listening to that with an open mind or receptively. People hear that shit and instantly they're like, dude, shut the fuck up, okay? No one's buying it. You could try to sell it all you want. No one's fucking buying it.
John Rockefeller, we're supposed to hate him. Thanks to him, we have energy, natural gas and oil. He became a multi-billionaire. So what? John Walton.
I mean, he did have a monopoly. You know, he controlled like 90% of the oil at one point. You know, we tend to look down on monopolies at this point, but I don't know.
We have Walmart, where people can get things at a decent price, and they employ tens of thousands of average Americans.
Tons of which have to supplement their income on welfare because they're not paid an adequate wage. I guess Walmart has elected, though, to raise its wages, so that's a good thing.
Great. The family's worth billions. So what?
So what? The Walton family of Walmart own more wealth than the bottom 40% of America. That's the statistic. So, I mean, like, isn't that just ever so slightly excessive? Like, you could, if 40% of the country can live on the amount of money that your family controls, then I think that maybe you've got just a little bit more money than you actually could ever need. Even from the perspective of like, I mean, I don't want, you know, people who own giant companies to not be rich. Obviously, it's an incentive. It's an incentive to run a giant business that you're compensated with a shit ton of money. It's everybody's dream in America to be some kind of great entrepreneur that makes a shit pot full of money. A big old fucking, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Why wouldn't that be the dream? Because if you got money, it means you don't have to worry about the things that an average person worries about. You don't have to worry about medical bills. You don't have to worry about your car note. You don't have to worry about your mortgage. Beyond that, it means you don't even have... You're so far from worrying about that shit that you're able to afford luxuries that normal people could never dream of. You know, tons of different houses all across the globe, living in the lap of luxury, whatever car you want, giant swimming pools, a television the size of a fucking Mack truck, whatever the fuck bullshit you can even conceive of or imagine having at your disposal, you have it. That's obviously a motivating factor for a lot of people. Why wouldn't it be? It sounds great. It sounds like a life of fucking luxury. There's a reason why every time the Powerball gets into the, 900 million mark, people go batshit crazy, dreaming about, oh my God, I could be one of the rich people. Everybody wants to be rich. It sounds great. It is great. I don't think we should remove that from the system, but when you have so much money that you're wealthier than the bottom 40% of everybody, all I'm saying is maybe that's a little excessive. Maybe that's just a little bit excessive. Maybe that money would be better used on, I don't know, infrastructure, the social safety net, something other than you getting to be even more obscenely rich. Like, you could take a shit ton of the Waltons' money away and they could have the same sort of extravagant lifestyle of super wealth and privilege and never needing to worry about a goddamn thing. Never needing to worry about a fucking thing. And I'm not even going the route of suggesting that we tax their existent wealth. AOC's thing was $10 million. Income over $10 million should be taxed at 70%. The Republican argument is that's gonna cut down on the incentive. That's gonna cut down on the incentive of people to make money. If you're making $10 million a year, or more than that, that ain't enough fucking incentive for you. Making $10 million a year isn't good enough to motivate you. Like, fuck it. I might as well just fucking live in a one-bedroom shitty apartment with asbestos and whatever. There's no point. You expect me to work hard and become an entrepreneur just for $10 million a year before it starts getting taxed at some obscene rate? What the hell's up with that, huh? Like, I think the incentive is still there. I'm pretty confident that people will still be incentivized to want millions and millions of dollars, even if the taxes are pretty fucking high.
Multi-billionaires. What has Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez created? Any job? Part-time job? How about Bernie Sanders? What have they created?
If you're asking what jobs they've created, obviously they've created jobs on their campaign staffs and things of that nature, right? Yeah. So, they obviously have created jobs. But, we could turn it around and ask, what has Trump created? Trump Steaks? Trump University? A fucking scam university? A bunch of towers with his name on them? Big monuments to his fucking ego? A terrible reality show? What is this? What is this? All you conservatives love Jesus so much, right? What did he create? Didn't he tell you to give all of your wealth to the poor and to live a simple life? Wasn't that his philosophy? Now, I don't know, you're Levin, so you're probably Jewish. But a lot of conservatives, they love the Jesus, right? So, I don't know. Seems to me like there's a lot of people throughout history who have done important things without being billionaires, without being the head of some giant empire. Yeah, are industrialists important? Sure. Production's important. Innovation's important. Entrepreneurship is important. But why can't there be some balance there? Why can't we say, yeah, we need innovators and we need our innovators to be compensated, but we also need money for a strong social safety net and to invest in the infrastructure of our country. So it makes sense because they have the majority of the money that they're paying the majority of the fucking taxes. They still get to be rich. They still get to live high on the hog, but they don't get to fucking keep every fucking dime. They don't get to just hoard it all in big money bags while the country fucking starves and deteriorates. Fuck that shit.
Where's all this money going to go? 70% tax bracket. Who's going to decide who gets what? The Department of Agriculture? The Department of Energy? The EPA? These people waste $125 billion a year, according to the GAO.
Yeah, I love that you guys, like, the EPA and the Department of Energy and stuff, so wasteful, so wasteful. Oh, by the way, want to congratulate President Trump on increasing the military budget yet again. Thank you, President Trump. No waste there. No giant fucking boondoggle clusterfuck nonsense going on in the Defense Department, right? Let's just give them more and more money. The Pentagon don't waste a dime. They account for every penny. Bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. You know what? There's always going to be waste. Can you tackle the problem of government waste? You probably can. Can you look at that as a serious issue? Yes. Yes, of course. But to just say, like, there's no point in giving it to the government because they're going to waste some of it. Well, you know who's going to waste all of it? The Waltons. The Waltons. Because it's, you know where it does less good than it does at the wasteful EPA? It does less good fucking in a bank somewhere. Probably not even in America. Probably overseas in fucking, some tax haven somewhere. That doesn't do us any good at all. The Waltons being super duper ultra mega rich to the point where they have more money than 40% of the population, that money ain't doing jack shit for us. That doesn't mean Walmart isn't useful. That doesn't mean that, I've not gone into a Walmart and purchased a fucking product. It doesn't mean that I'm not glad that a Walmart exists when I need something from it. It just means that the people who own that store shouldn't have more wealth than the bottom 40% of all of a fucking America. It just means that maybe some of their money could be better spent in a different way that would not impact their rich hoity-toity lifestyle to the slightest fucking degree. All right?
Americans do not like big, authoritarian, centralized government and 2 million bureaucrats pushing them around. So why do we confer health care upon them? And
if Americans didn't like authoritarians, they never would have voted for Trump. And their alternative wouldn't have been Hillary. America loves authoritarians. Give me a fucking break, dude.
What does she know exactly? Nothing. Go to the supermarket. There's capitalism.
What does she know?
20 different
Nothing.
types of bread.
Yeah, there's
30
capitalism.
different types of wine from all over the world.
There's usually more than 30 types of wine.
5 different types of fish. I can't even tell what fish.
Usually more than that types of fish than that. Well, this guy does not have a fucking you must have a very sparse supermarket. 30 kinds of bread, that sounds about right, but usually there's way more than 30 types of wine. Usually there's way more than 5 types of fish. Maybe it depends on where you live. I don't know. Yeah, it's a nitpick, whatever.
Fish. Go to the supermarket. Look.
Does Sean Hannity just laugh like the Count from Sesame Street? What the fuck was that?
Look at all the different things you get. We live better than kings and queens lived 150 and 200 years ago.
I'm sure that has nothing to do with technological progress, right? Oh, right. Anything that technology accomplishes is always credited with capitalism, because there's no way that technological innovation could conceivably happen in the absence of capitalism. Now, I'm not an anti-capitalist, but I mean, do you really think that technological progress is impossible without profit motive? Do you think that there's no possible way that we could ever have technology and industrialization and all that shit without capitalism? Do you think it's impossible? I'm not saying that we know how to do it. I'm just saying, do you think it's completely and utterly impossible to do? Because I'm kind of skeptical of a claim like that.
Look at all the things around you. That's created by capitalism. Capitalism and freedom.
Capitalism! Capitalism! It's all created by capitalism! It's not created by capitalism. I mean, this is not created by capitalism. It's created by someone building it somewhere. Their motive is, let's make some money selling this product. So in that sense, I guess you could say that, capitalism's clearly involved, but capitalism didn't make my microphone. It didn't make my webcam. It was created by a capitalistic enterprise, but so what? What if this was created by what if you have an inventor who's like a crazy fucking Marxist socialist, and he draws the schematics for a new invention? Do we get to say, even if capitalism makes that and sells it, do we get to still say, well, it's still created by socialism because that's what the person who designed it believed? You see what I'm saying? We live in a capitalist society. So, yeah, everything you look around and see is a product begging for your fat ass dirty dollar, so shut up and buy my new record. That's true enough. But I don't feel comfortable just saying like this is a result of capitalism. Technology and capitalism, have they intertwined in our society? Abso-fucking-lutely. To the point where it's actually hard to see where one ends and the other begins. So I kind of see what you're saying, but to just amalgamate them as though they are one thing. They're not. They're separate things. Technology is a thing. Capitalism is a thing. They can work together quite nicely. No denying that. But are they interdependent on one another? I'm skeptical of that fucking position.
Individualism, the American people. They're about government, power, edicts, fiats. That's what she's all about. And Ms. Ocasio-Cortez.
I mean, like, you could talk about the left just wants more power for the government, more power for the government. Well, don't you guys just want more power for the rich, more power for the rich? At least the government, to some extent, is accountable to the people of this country. Do they have enough accountability? Nowhere near. But corporate America is not accountable to the people of this country at all. The only extent to which they're accountable to us is like if we do a boycott of a product or something like that. And at this point, boycotts are a fucking joke. They're a fucking joke. There is no mechanism built into corporate America where we can actually affect them to change. And even if we did have that mechanism, it's obvious that we're not willing to use it. I hate to use this example all the time, but a lot of chocolate, as many of you probably know if you watch me a lot, is the cocoa beans are picked by slaves a lot of the times. A lot of times child slaves in Africa are picking the cocoa beans that go into your Hershey's and your Nestle's and all that shit. We haven't organized boycotts against them. We haven't decided as a country like we're only going to source ethical chocolate. We're only going to buy ethical chocolate. We don't give a shit. We don't give a shit. So even if you can argue that we have that power, we clearly don't actually use it. And even if some of us used it, there's still going to be people who are like, fuck that, I'm buying the Hershey's because it's cheaper. Well, it's cheaper because of slave labor. I think that you have a lot more control over your government than you do over an international mega conglomerate. I think that the average citizen has virtually no control over either of those things. But I think that they have a better chance of controlling a representative democracy. I understand it's a representative democracy within the framework of a republic. I know that's really important for some people to make that distinction. But I think you have a better chance of affecting that than you do affecting a corporation, unless you are a majority shareholder in a company. Then you might be able to affect some change. But short of that, not really.
Please come on my Fox show on Sunday. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about capitalism versus Marxism and socialism. I want to talk to you about some of your ideas.
Wait, is he talking to? He's talking to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez now. After that rant, he's like inviting her on the show. Is that what's just happening here? Like, she's a fucking idiot. She knows nothing. She's a fucking communist. I fucking hate her rotten, stinking, stupid fucking gut. By the way, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, if you want to come on this show, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. It'd be very civil and very polite. Give me a fucking break, dude. What? What the fuck am I watching here? Hannity and Levin. Blech. Blech, 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 blech.